If you're over 60, chances are you've dropped a handful of blueberries into your morning bowl without thinking twice. A soft tumble of deep blue orbs against the creamy white of yogurt, the cool splash of milk, or the comforting warmth of oatmeal. It feels like the perfect start to the day, light, refreshing, and somehow virtuous. You hear the gentle clink of the spoon, see the rich contrast of colors, taste the soft burst of sweetness that makes you feel like you're doing something good for yourself. For many, it's a ritual, that quiet, peaceful moment before the day begins, when you believe that this small, simple act is keeping your heart strong and your mind sharp. It's a scene that feels wholesome, safe, and familiar. But what if, beneath that beautiful image, something entirely different was happening inside your body? What if those very combinations, the ones you've trusted for years, were quietly undoing some of the benefits you thought you were getting? Because as it turns out, not every healthy blueberry bowl is as friendly to the aging heart and brain as it seems. The truth is unsettling but important. After 60, the way your body processes foods, even the good ones, changes dramatically. What once fueled you might now be forcing your system to work harder than it should. You see, blueberries themselves are powerful. They're loaded with anthocyanins, the pigments that give them that deep blue color and the ability to fight inflammation and oxidative stress. But those same compounds that make blueberries protective can also become less effective, or even counterproductive, when combined with the wrong foods. It's not superstition, it's chemistry. Inside your body, foods interact. Acids meet proteins. Sugars meet fats. Enzymes shift depending on what's on your plate. And when digestion slows with age, those interactions last longer, giving certain pairings time to ferment, oxidize, or simply confuse your system. Think about it. After 60, your stomach acid weakens, digestive enzymes are produced in smaller amounts, and your blood vessels lose some of their elasticity. This means that a simple combination that once passed through smoothly can now linger, producing subtle changes: gas, bloating, sluggishness, even mild dizziness after eating. You might blame it on just getting older, but in many cases, it's the way foods are mixing in your body. A blueberry blended with milk, for instance, may look delicious, but the milk's proteins can bind to the fruit's antioxidants, preventing them from being absorbed. That means instead of reducing inflammation, that morning smoothie could actually leave your blood slightly thicker, your vessels a bit more stressed, and your energy lower than it should be. And the consequences of this aren't just about comfort. Over time, poor combinations can create a low-level stress inside your circulatory system, the kind you never feel directly but that builds quietly in the background. Imagine your blood vessels as soft, flexible channels, meant to carry oxygen and nutrients freely. When digestion falters and certain food compounds stay unprocessed, they can enter the bloodstream as tiny irritants. These irritants trigger inflammation, and inflammation, in turn, makes blood vessels stiffer. Stiffer vessels force the heart to pump harder, raising pressure and reducing blood flow to the brain. It doesn't happen overnight, but day by day, meal by meal, the damage compounds. This is how the body whispers its warnings. A little fatigue after breakfast. A slight fog in your focus. The feeling that your morning coffee isn't working like it used to. Most people brush it off as aging, but in reality, it's often the result of small, daily mismatches. Foods that digest at different speeds, competing for the same enzymes, turning what should be nourishment into mild internal stress. Now, don't get me wrong, blueberries are not the villain here. In fact, they remain one of the most healing fruits you can eat. They protect brain cells, strengthen arteries, and reduce plaque buildup, but only when their natural compounds are allowed to do their work. The problem isn't the fruit. It's the company it keeps. And that's where most people go wrong. Because for years, we've been told that as long as something is natural or light, it's automatically good for us. Yogurt with blueberries. Pancakes with blueberry syrup. Smoothies with milk and oats. These combinations sound healthy, but inside an older digestive system, they can create a kind of traffic jam. Instead of being absorbed smoothly, the nutrients get trapped in a slow, fermenting mix. That's when the trouble starts: excess gas, acid buildup, unstable blood sugar levels, and over time, silent inflammation that slowly wears down your arteries. What's fascinating and reassuring is that the fix isn't complicated. You don't have to give up blueberries. You just have to know how to use them. When paired correctly, they become your body's ally again, restoring circulation, protecting the heart, and fueling your brain with clean, stable energy. When eaten the right way, They help blood flow freely to the smallest capillaries, including those that feed your memory and focus. That's why understanding these combinations matters, because the difference between strain and strength, between fatigue and vitality, often lies in something as small as what you mix in your bowl. So today, we're not here to take away your morning ritual, we're here to refine it. To reveal what really happens inside your body after 60 when blueberries meet certain foods, and how you can reverse that silent damage. Because the truth is, you have more control over your energy, your clarity, and even your heart rhythm than you might think, and it starts with understanding your plate. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which everyday foods quietly cancel out the power of your blueberries, and which pairings turn them into your strongest defenders against heart and brain decline. You'll see why some of your healthiest habits might be draining you, and how a few gentle shifts can restore balance and vitality. This isn't about restriction, it's about harmony, the kind your body craves as it grows older and wiser. Because the blueberry itself hasn't lost its magic, it's just waiting for you to give it the right stage to shine. Number 1. Blueberries plus milk. Let's start with one of the most innocent-looking breakfast habits, the one that seems so healthy you'd never question it. But here's where the quiet betrayal begins. What looks like a powerful team on your spoon is, inside your body, a recipe for nutrient loss and circulatory strain, especially after 60. The problem hides deep in the chemistry. Milk, though rich in calcium and protein, contains casein, a sticky protein that has a habit of binding to the polyphenol and anthocyanins inside blueberries. These are the compounds that give blueberries their color and their healing power. The same compounds known to protect artery walls, keep blood thin, and prevent oxidative damage in brain tissue. But when casein attaches to them, it's like locking those nutrients behind a door your body can't open. They can no longer do their job. Imagine it like this. Blueberries are tiny medicine capsules your body needs every day. But when you pour milk over them, you coat those capsules in a wax that stops them from dissolving. So instead of being absorbed, those antioxidants pass through your system unused, wasted. The result? Your arteries lose their daily layer of protection, your brain cells face more oxidative stress, and your blood thickens just a little bit more each day. It's subtle, no pain, no warning, but it adds up. This effect is especially dangerous after 60. With age, digestion slows down, and the stomach produces less acid and fewer enzymes. That means your body is already struggling to extract nutrients efficiently. When milk blocks the very antioxidants your cells depend on, the loss becomes double. Not only are you getting less protection, but your system is spending more energy digesting something that gives back less in return. What might have been a mild nutrient reduction in your 30s becomes a serious deficiency in your 70s. The antioxidants that should be neutralizing free radicals in your arteries never get the chance. Over time, those unneutralized free radicals attack the inner lining of blood vessels, making them stiffer and narrower. The heart begins to work harder to push blood through. The brain, starved of oxygen for even a few seconds, starts to feel that fog, that slow, tired, unfocused sensation many mistake for just aging. Science has already shown this effect clearly. A study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that when milk was combined with blueberries, the overall antioxidant capacity of the fruit dropped by nearly 50%. Half the benefit, gone. In other words, your healthy blueberry breakfast becomes half as effective at protecting your heart and brain the moment milk touches it. And it's not just theory. The same reaction happens with any dairy-rich environment. Yogurt parfaits, blueberry smoothies made with milk, even ice cream topped with blueberries. And then there's the digestive side. Dairy is harder to process as we age, not just because of lactose, but because the body produces fewer lipases, the enzymes that break down milk fats. When milk lingers in the stomach, it slows everything else down. The fruit sugars in blueberries, meant to digest quickly, get trapped. They start to ferment, releasing gases and mild acids that irritate the stomach lining and even thicken the blood slightly through lactic buildup. That's why some seniors feel bloated, sluggish, or oddly tired after what should have been a light breakfast. It's not the blueberries causing that feeling, it's the chemistry between the milk and the fruit. Margaret, 71, used to swear by her morning blueberry cereal with milk. It was her ritual, a comfort she'd had for years. But she started noticing something strange. Within an hour of breakfast, she'd feel bloated, heavy, and a little foggy-headed. Her doctor told her it might be her digestion slowing down. But when her granddaughter suggested switching to almond milk, everything changed. Within a few weeks, Margaret felt lighter after breakfast. Her energy lasted longer through the morning, her bloating disappeared, and, perhaps most importantly, her blood pressure readings stabilized. It wasn't a miracle. It was simply her body finally being able to absorb what the blueberries were offering. That's the key truth here. It's not about giving up milk forever. It's about timing and awareness. If you love dairy, enjoy it, but give your blueberries their own moment. Eat them alone, ideally 30 to 45 minutes before your cereal or milk. That way, their antioxidants can move freely into your bloodstream without interference. Or if you crave that creamy texture, choose plant-based alternatives like almond milk, oat milk, or coconut milk. These don't contain casein and don't block the polyphenol from doing their job. In fact, the healthy fats in some plant-based milks can even help absorption, turning a blocked nutrient into a fully active one. Think of this adjustment not as restriction, but as liberation, for your body, for your brain, and for your heart. Because every time you eat blueberries correctly, you're sending a quiet wave of protection through your bloodstream. You're softening your arteries, reducing clot risk, and clearing the path for stronger, steadier circulation. Every small decision like this builds resilience, helping your brain stay sharp and your heartbeat clean. Number 2. Blueberries plus yogurt. Yogurt and blueberries. It's almost the picture-perfect symbol of a healthy breakfast. The creamy white swirl, the deep blue burst of color, the tang meeting the sweetness, it feels light, smart, and nourishing. For many people over 60, it's the go-to morning comfort. You might layer them in a parfait glass, top them with granola, and think, this is exactly what my body needs. It's a ritual that feels both indulgent and guilt-free, a little luxury wrapped in health. But here's the twist most people never see coming. The same combination that once boosted your gut health can, after 60, start to confuse it. On their own, yogurt and blueberries are both powerful. Yogurt delivers probiotics, living, beneficial bacteria that strengthen digestion, immunity, and even mood. Blueberries bring antioxidants that protect blood vessels and feed brain cells. But when these two meet inside your stomach, the harmony breaks down. Their chemistry doesn't blend as smoothly as it appears in the bowl. Yogurt is fermented, a living ecosystem of bacteria thriving in a specific pH range. Blueberries are acidic fruits, filled with natural fruit acids and plant compounds that can disrupt that balance. When you combine them, especially if the yogurt is sweetened or flavored, the mix becomes unstable. The fruit acids react with the live cultures, triggering a form of early fermentation, right there in your gut. That rapid fermentation produces gas, lactic acid, and small amounts of ethanol, all of which can bloat your stomach and slow digestion. What should have been a clean, energizing meal becomes a sluggish one. Instead of absorbing nutrients efficiently, your body becomes busy calming irritation. You feel heavy, maybe a bit foggy or tired afterward, without realizing why. The yogurt and blueberries are both healthy, but in your stomach, they're working against each other. This clash becomes far more pronounced after 60. As we age, stomach acid production drops by as much as 40%, and the gut microbiome, the community of bacteria in your intestines, becomes more sensitive and less diverse. That means every imbalance hits harder. When probiotic-rich foods like yogurt are paired with acidic fruits, they can disrupt that fragile ecosystem instead of supporting it. The bacteria in the yogurt, instead of populating your gut, end up fighting to survive in an overly acidic environment. Meanwhile, the fruit acids and sugars can feed less beneficial bacteria, leading to more bloating, irregularity, and discomfort. Over time, this imbalance doesn't just affect digestion, it affects circulation too. When your gut is inflamed, your blood vessels are too. Low-grade inflammation seeps into the bloodstream, thickening it slightly, raising blood pressure, and creating the very environment where clots and strokes begin to take shape. Digestive studies have shown that combining acidic fruits with fermented dairy slows protein breakdown and alters bacterial growth patterns in the gut. The result is inefficient digestion. Proteins from yogurt remain partially undigested, creating a mild toxic residue that the liver must work harder to filter out. In younger years, the body compensates easily. But after 60, that extra strain can raise homocysteine levels and oxidative stress, both silent markers linked to arterial hardening and reduced oxygen flow to the brain. What starts as a little post-breakfast discomfort can slowly evolve into the kind of systemic stress that affects heart rhythm, blood pressure, and mental clarity. Frank, 68, learned this the hard way. Every morning, he made himself a tall glass of blueberry yogurt parfait, Greek yogurt, blueberries, and a drizzle of honey. It looked beautiful, and it made him feel proud of his choices. But within an hour of eating, he often felt heavy and tired. His doctor suggested tests, but nothing showed up. No allergies, no major digestive disease, just mild inflammation. Out of curiosity, Frank tried separating his meals. He ate his yogurt mid-morning, plain and unsweetened, and saved his blueberries for later in the afternoon, as a light snack. Within 2 weeks, the difference was startling. The fatigue vanished. The bloating disappeared. His focus sharpened, and he even began sleeping better. The healthy breakfast wasn't bad, it was just mistimed. That's the real key here, timing and compatibility. Yogurt still deserves a place in your diet, but it needs a peaceful partner, something that digests at a similar pace. Pair it with non-acidic fruits like bananas or dates, or enjoy it alone with a drizzle of honey or a few soaked nuts. Save your blueberries for later, when your stomach is ready for their acidity. This simple separation gives your gut the rhythm it needs to work efficiently. When each food digests in its own time, your body absorbs more, wastes less energy, and reduces inflammation naturally. Number 3. Blueberries plus peanuts. At first glance, this one looks like a power couple. Blueberries and peanut butter, the sweet tang of fruit meeting the creamy, nutty richness of protein. It feels modern, energizing, and perfectly balanced. You see it everywhere: smoothie bowls topped with crushed peanuts, blueberry peanut energy bars, or toast slathered with peanut butter and a handful of berries on top. It's the picture of healthy eating. But beneath that comforting illusion lies a quiet contradiction. What looks like nourishment for your heart and brain can, after 60, become the kind of slow, invisible stress that wears both of them down. Blueberries are natural healers. Their deep color hides a pharmacy of antioxidants, anthocyanins that protect your arteries, polyphenol that feed your brain cells, and anti-inflammatory compounds that calm the body's internal fires. But peanuts carry a different chemistry. They're packed with omega-6 fatty acids, essential fats in small amounts, but harmful when they dominate your diet. The trouble begins because most people already consume too many omega-6 fats from cooking oils, processed foods, and snacks. When you add peanuts to the mix, you tilt your internal balance even further, flooding your system with pro-inflammatory molecules that quietly undo what the blueberries are trying to repair. It's a tug-of-war inside your bloodstream. Blueberries send antioxidants to neutralize free radicals, the unstable compounds that damage artery walls. Peanuts, at the same time, release arachidonic acid and oxidized oils that fuel the very inflammation those antioxidants are trying to calm. It's like one hand washing while the other throws dirt back on. Over time, the damage accumulates, the arteries stiffen, small clots form more easily, and the brain's delicate vessels start to narrow. You may not feel it as pain. Instead, it shows up as stiffness in the morning, brain fog, shortness of breath after mild effort, or a faint headache that lingers after meals. These are the whispers of microinflammation, the kind that doesn't scream but slowly changes the landscape inside your body. After 60, this imbalance becomes more dangerous. Your body no longer regulates inflammation as effectively as it once did. Hormones that once controlled oxidative stress have weakened, and the thin lining of your blood vessels, the endothelium, becomes fragile. When exposed to too many omega-6 fats, it starts to stiffen. Blood doesn't flow as smoothly. The heart has to push harder, and small blood clots, which used to dissolve quickly, linger longer. Each one increases the risk of a stroke or heart attack. What's most deceptive is how small the daily trigger can be: a few spoonfuls of peanut butter with blueberries in your smoothie, a snack bar you think is healthy. Over months or years, that constant background inflammation becomes the silent architect of heart strain and vascular aging. Scientific research has begun to highlight this subtle sabotage. Aging studies published in Nutrients Journal show that diets rich in omega-6 fats, without enough omega-3s to balance them, can blunt the vascular benefits of antioxidant-rich foods. That means even if you're eating your blueberries faithfully, their healing compounds can't fully do their job. The excess omega-6 interferes with nitric oxide production, which keeps arteries flexible. Instead of relaxing your vessels and improving blood flow, the body stays in a mild state of constriction. The brain receives less oxygen, the heart pumps harder, and the chain reaction of inflammation deepens. Linda, 66, experienced this firsthand. Every morning after her walk, she made what she believed was the ultimate health drink, a blueberry peanut butter smoothie. She loved the taste and the energy, but as months passed, her knees began aching and her energy dipped. Her doctor suggested inflammation might be the culprit, but her diet seemed clean. On a nutritionist's advice, she replaced peanuts with almond butter. Within weeks, she noticed something remarkable. Her joints loosened, her energy lifted, and even her mental sharpness improved. The simple change of nut made all the difference. It wasn't the fruit that was failing her, it was the fat she paired it with. That's the heart of this truth. Not every healthy food works well together. Peanuts aren't bad, but they're out of balance with what most older bodies need. After 60, the goal isn't just to eat nutrients, it's to reduce the silent fires inside you, the kind that make the heart labor and the brain slow. Blueberries fight that inflammation, but they can't win if you feed the opposite side at the same time. If you love the creamy element, there are better choices. Almonds, walnuts, and chia seeds all carry omega-3 or balanced fats that support blueberry antioxidants instead of canceling them out. A handful of walnuts with fresh blueberries can actually amplify the fruit's vascular benefits, improving blood flow to the brain and heart. Even a spoonful of chia blended into your smoothie offers that same richness, but with anti-inflammatory strength instead of resistance. Number 1. Blueberries plus oatmeal. After learning about the combinations that silently exhaust your heart, it's time to meet one that does the opposite. A partnership that rebuilds strength, steadies rhythm, and restores calm from the inside out. Blueberries and oatmeal, a pairing so humble, it almost feels too simple to be powerful. Yet, beneath that simplicity lies one of the most protective meals you can give your body, especially after 60. It's warm, grounding, and deeply healing, the kind of breakfast that doesn't just fill your stomach but quietly repairs the very highways of your bloodstream. Imagine it, the steam rising from a bowl of oats, the soft nutty aroma mingling with the gentle sweetness of blueberries bursting under the spoon. There's something wholesome and human about it. No gimmicks, no glossy packaging, no artificial superfood promises. Just nature's medicine in its most digestible form. For decades, oats have been known as the grain that hugs the heart, and blueberries, the fruit that protects the brain. Together, they form a shield, not a temporary defense, but a steady guardian that reinforces your arteries, balances your blood pressure, and nourishes the cells that keep your heart beating strong. The secret lies in how perfectly their chemistries fit. Oats are rich in soluble fiber, especially a compound called beta-glucan. This gentle fiber travels through your digestive system and binds with cholesterol particles, almost like a magnet sweeping away the debris that can clog arteries. It escorts that cholesterol out of your body before it ever has a chance to settle on artery walls. Blueberries, on the other hand, are packed with anthocyanins, antioxidants that protect those same artery walls from oxidative damage. When your blood vessels stay flexible and smooth, your heart doesn't need to strain to push blood through. Every beat becomes more efficient, more rhythmic, more peaceful. When you combine the two, something remarkable happens. The fiber from oats slows the absorption of the fruit's natural sugars, preventing blood sugar spikes. Meanwhile, the antioxidants in blueberries reduce inflammation and help your arteries stay supple. It's a biological duet, one clearing the road, the other repairing the edges. Over time, this daily partnership helps stabilize cholesterol, ease blood pressure, and strengthen circulation, the three pillars of stroke and heart attack prevention. Modern research supports what traditional wisdom always hinted at. A study published in the American Heart Journal found that older adults who regularly consumed high-fiber grains along with polyphenol-rich fruits like blueberries experienced measurable improvements in arterial elasticity, meaning their blood vessels could expand and contract more easily. This elasticity is the mark of youth in the circulatory system. When it's lost, the heart works harder, and the risk of clots or ruptures rises. But when preserved, even in later years, it can dramatically lower the likelihood of cardiovascular events. Simply put, this humble breakfast can keep your arteries feeling younger than your age. For people like John, 70, that truth came alive through experience. He used to start his mornings with sugary cereal and coffee, an easy habit, but one that left him sluggish by mid-morning. His doctor warned that his cholesterol was climbing and that he was bordering on pre-hypertension. Reluctantly, John switched to oatmeal. He began adding a handful of blueberries and a sprinkle of flaxseed instead of sugar. Within a month, he noticed a subtle shift. He no longer felt the mid-morning crash, his energy held steady throughout the day, and at his next checkup, both his cholesterol and blood pressure had improved. "It's funny," he said. "I didn't think something so plain could feel this powerful. What makes this combination so sustainable is how gentle it is. There's no harsh restriction, no strange ingredient, no complex timing. Just warm oatmeal cooked in water or milk of choice, topped with a handful of fresh or thawed blueberries right before serving. Avoid adding extra sugar. Let the fruit's natural sweetness lead. You can enhance it with a touch of cinnamon or a drizzle of honey if needed, but keep the simplicity intact. The goal isn't to overload your body with stimulation, it's to give it calm, balanced nourishment that speaks the language of repair." There's also something deeply emotional about this meal. In a world where food is often rushed, synthetic, or eaten in noise, a bowl of oatmeal with blueberries asks you to slow down. It's food that matches the rhythm of your body as it ages, steady, grounded, forgiving. Every spoonful is a message to your arteries. You're safe now, you can relax. Over time, that message becomes biological truth. Inflammation drops, blood pressure steadies, and the constant silent strain on your heart begins to ease. Number 2. Blueberries plus cheese. Sometimes strength doesn't come from the muscles you build, it comes from the bones that hold you up. After 60, those bones carry a lifetime of memories, motion, and small impacts. Every step you take, every stretch you make, depends on the silent architecture beneath your skin. But here's the truth most people miss. Bones don't just weaken because of age, they weaken because of neglect. The foods we choose either reinforce their structure or slowly drain their resilience. And that's where one unlikely partnership, blueberries and cheese, can make all the difference. At first glance, it sounds curious. Cheese, the creamy indulgence, blueberries, the light and fruity antioxidant. But together, they form a quiet alliance that works deeper than the surface, a combination that protects your bones, stabilizes your joints, and keeps you moving with confidence long after most people start to slow down. Think about what happens when you enjoy a small plate of mild cheese, maybe a piece of cheddar or Gouda, alongside a handful of fresh blueberries. The rich, salty creaminess meets the bright sweetness of the berries, creating a balance that feels almost instinctive. That contrast isn't just pleasing to your palate, it's chemistry in harmony. Cheese brings calcium, vitamin D, and the often overlooked vitamin K2, which directs calcium straight into your bones instead of letting it float aimlessly in your bloodstream. Blueberries, on the other hand, bring antioxidants like anthocyanins that fight oxidative stress, one of the hidden culprits behind bone and joint deterioration. As we age, oxidative stress increases. It's like slow rust forming on the body's frame. It weakens the bone matrix, making it brittle and more likely to fracture under pressure. Meanwhile, calcium metabolism becomes less efficient, especially after 60, when digestive enzymes decline and hormonal shifts affect bone turnover. This is why seniors often experience sudden stiffness, reduced balance, or even minor bone pain that feels normal. But when you bring together the right foods, those that both nourish and protect, you can interrupt that slow breakdown. Blueberries and cheese form that kind of alliance. The antioxidants in blueberries don't just help your heart or brain, they actively reduce the oxidative damage to bone cells, allowing calcium and collagen to rebuild more effectively. And the vitamin K2 in aged cheese works like a traffic director, guiding calcium into the right places, your bones and teeth, and away from the wrong ones, your arteries, where misplaced calcium can contribute to hardening and stiffness. This dual action, antioxidants preserving bone tissue and K2 directing calcium, makes this combination quietly powerful for preventing both bone loss and arterial calcification, two of the biggest age-related risks tied to stroke and heart attack. Scientific studies back this up. Nutrition journals have noted that anthocyanins, the pigment compounds that give blueberries their deep color, enhance calcium absorption and stimulate osteoblast activity, which is how new bone cells form. Meanwhile, researchers studying vitamin K2 have repeatedly found that it not only supports bone density but also helps reduce arterial stiffness, meaning it protects both bones and blood flow at the same time. When these two forces work together, you get stronger, steadier bones and a healthier circulatory system, a protection that extends to both body and brain. Consider Martha, 69. She'd always loved her afternoon snack, a few crackers with cheese. But her doctor suggested cutting down on processed grains to help her blood sugar. On a whim, she swapped the crackers for blueberries. The result was more than she expected. "I thought it was just a healthier snack," she said, "but I noticed within a few months, my knees didn't ache as much after gardening, and I didn't feel that heaviness in my hips anymore. It wasn't a miracle, it was biology. The antioxidants helped reduce the subtle inflammation that made her joints stiff, while the calcium and K2 in the cheese gave her bones the reinforcement they needed. The key, of course, is moderation. Cheese is dense. A little goes a long way. A small slice of aged cheese like Gouda, cheddar, or Parmesan paired with a handful of fresh or thawed blueberries makes a perfect mid-morning or afternoon snack. It satisfies cravings, supports strength, and brings that gentle lift of flavor that feels both nourishing and indulgent. Avoid overly processed cheese spreads or heavy cream cheeses. Natural, aged varieties hold the true nutrients your body needs. What makes this pairing so beautiful is how simple it is. You don't have to blend, cook, or measure anything. It's effortless nourishment, the kind of snack that fits into your day without fuss but works quietly behind the scenes to keep you stable and strong. It's a reminder that food doesn't have to be complicated to be powerful. Sometimes, the best medicine is just two natural elements working in balance, one offering minerals, the other offering protection. Number 3. Blueberries plus salad greens. There's something quietly powerful about a bowl of greens, that fresh, earthy scent of spinach or arugula, the way the leaves glisten with a drizzle of olive oil, and the burst of color when you scatter a handful of blueberries across the top. It looks like a painting, but what it does inside your body is far more beautiful. This is the meal that doesn't just feed you, it restores you. It doesn't weigh you down, clog you up, or leave you sleepy afterward. Instead, it opens your circulation, clears your blood, and gives your brain a clean, calm kind of energy that lasts all day. After 60, that kind of inner lightness becomes more than comfort, it becomes necessity. The body's filters, the liver, kidneys, and lymphatic system, don't clean up as fast as they once did. The blood doesn't move with the same ease, and the heart has to push harder to keep things flowing. Most people assume that's just age, but much of it comes from what we put on our plates. When the body feels heavy, it's not always from fat or calories, it's from congestion. That congestion begins in the bloodstream, slow, sticky, slightly inflamed, the kind that raises the risk of heart strain, poor oxygen delivery, and, eventually, the kind of brain fog or dizziness that hints at circulatory stress. That's why the combination of blueberries and salad greens is so quietly miraculous. It's not flashy, not trendy, but inside the body, it performs a kind of gentle maintenance that few other foods can. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, and arugula are rich in chlorophyll and magnesium, two compounds that literally help your blood move. Chlorophyll cleanses. It binds with toxins, heavy metals, and waste products, helping the liver flush them out more efficiently. Magnesium relaxes the blood vessels, easing the pressure inside arteries and allowing smoother, steadier circulation. Blueberries join in like a perfect partner. Their polyphenol and anthocyanins boost nitric oxide, a natural compound your body uses to dilate blood vessels. Together, they don't just feed your body, they open its highways. Imagine your bloodstream as a network of rivers and channels. Over the years, debris builds up, bits of cholesterol, calcium residue, inflammatory waste. The flow slows, the walls stiffen. Then, one day, the pressure rises too high, and that's how heart attacks and strokes begin. But when you bring together nitrate-rich greens and antioxidant-rich fruits, you help your blood vessels relax and release that tension. The result is better oxygen delivery to your organs, especially your brain, which thrives on a steady, clean flow of blood. Science has confirmed this in striking ways. Cardiovascular studies show that combining nitrate-rich vegetables like spinach with antioxidant-rich fruits like blueberries increases oxygen flow to the brain by up to 20%. That means sharper focus, steadier energy, and less risk of sudden drops in blood flow that can trigger confusion, dizziness, or even microstrokes. One reason is the synergistic action between the green's nitrates and the berry's polyphenol. Together, they amplify nitric oxide production far beyond what either could do alone. It's like giving your arteries a deep breath of relief. Eleanor, 72, had lived her whole life believing lunch had to be heavy: bread, cheese, maybe a bit of meat. But as she got older, she started feeling sluggish after every meal. Her doctor called it post-meal fatigue, but the real issue was circulation. She swapped her usual lunch for a simple bowl of spinach, olive oil, lemon juice, and fresh blueberries. Within 2 weeks, she noticed the difference. "It was like my head cleared," she said. "I could think faster, and my blood pressure readings were better." Nothing dramatic, just a quiet return of vitality that her body had been waiting for. The beauty of this combination lies in its simplicity. You don't need a complicated recipe or exotic ingredients. Just a bowl of fresh greens, a handful of blueberries, a drizzle of olive oil, and a touch of lemon or apple cider vinegar. The vinegar helps digestion, the olive oil supports absorption of fat-soluble vitamins, and the berries bring sweetness and healing power. It's a salad that doesn't just taste good, it works. You can feel it in your circulation, your focus, even your mood. And here's the deeper truth. After 60, your body doesn't need more fuel, it needs better flow. It needs foods that unclog, not overload. When you eat something like this, you give your system space to breathe again. The heart pumps more easily, the blood moves freely, and your brain receives the oxygen it craves. Over time, that means fewer spikes in blood pressure, fewer dizzy spells, and a far lower chance of the circulatory stiffness that leads to heart and brain events. When you think about it, it's astonishing how something as small as a blueberry can hold such power, to heal, to harm, to change how your heart beats and how your brain thinks. But that's what food really is, not just calories or comfort, but chemistry. Every bite you take is a message to your body, telling it to calm down or to fight harder, to flow freely or to tighten up. And after 60, when every system runs a little slower and every heartbeat matters more, those messages become everything. You've seen how the smallest choices, like pairing blueberries with milk or peanuts, can quietly undo the good you intended. You thought you were eating healthy, when in truth, those combinations were locking away antioxidants, feeding inflammation, or confusing your digestion. The results were subtle at first, a little fatigue, a touch of dizziness, a bit of brain fog, but over time, they built into something heavier. Silent stress on the arteries, reduced oxygen to the brain, and the quiet progression toward heart and circulatory problems. Not because your body failed, but because your foods clashed. And yet, just as the wrong pairings can block your body's healing, the right ones can open it again. Blueberries with oatmeal cleanse your arteries. Blueberries with cheese strengthen your frame. Blueberries with salad greens refresh your blood and steady your heart. These aren't trends or fads, they're the natural partnerships nature intended, where one food amplifies the other's gifts instead of fighting against them. When you eat this way, your body doesn't have to struggle. It remembers how to work in harmony again. That's the secret most people never learn. Your body doesn't just age, it adapts. It's always listening to what you give it, always responding. When you feed it wisely, you don't just slow aging, you change its direction. Your circulation becomes cleaner, your energy steadier, your thinking clearer. The fog lifts. The heaviness fades. The small daily discomforts that seemed inevitable begin to quiet down. And it all starts with something as simple as understanding the chemistry in your bowl. So tomorrow morning, when you reach for that handful of blueberries, pause for a moment. Think about what you're pairing them with. Choose foods that move with your body, not against it. Let each meal be a little act of renewal, something that keeps your blood flowing freely, your heart light, and your mind clear.